Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, if we could go to item N6, that's the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce Monthly Economic Development Report for January 2022.
Know that we have had one project announcement for this first quarter, and that was in McGregor with Messer.
All right, if there's no questions, or a motion to approve the chamber report for recording purposes?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? Other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, we can go back up to item F, budget amendments. F1's regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
FY22 budget amendments, starting with F1A.
Is there a motion to approve F1D through F1I?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1 is authorization of recommendations. G1A regarding bid 22-004, aggregate surface treatment for delivery and pickup.
All right, what's the pleasure on items G1A?
Motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations on the bids.
Second. We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right.
All right, item G1B regarding bid 22-005, asphalt emulsions for delivery and pickup.
Not what's the pleasure, of course.
Move to approve the recommendation of the purchasing director.
All right. Is there a second? Second. All right. We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. I'd like to go to item L1. We have Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. This is regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act, discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request. Okay.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County. And it's out north of Trading House Creek Reservoir, that area there. We're preparing to submit a proposal to this body soon for a county tax abatement for the project, and just wanted to stop by ahead of time, introduce ourselves, and tell you what we're doing.
Going to D on proclamations, resolutions. We have nothing this week. Under E, under consent agenda, I have no recommended pulls. Does anyone else have a pull from the consent agenda they want to discuss? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, July the 28th, 2022, 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, July 21st at 4:58 PM.
Thank you. Let's pause briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have a pledge to the flags. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Face the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Okay. And I already explained to Mr. Schaefer what we were going to do this morning, so we're going to have public comments, but I thought before we did that we would go to under items D regarding the FY23 budget, that we would ask Francis to give an overview of the process and how the calculation works. And then at that point, we'll go.
So we did receive our final tax rate calculations that have been certified by our tax assessor collector. So the rates that are calculated are our debt rate to accommodate debt service for current debt issuances that we sit on. And then there's a no new revenue rate. And what it does is it's used as a comparison to the prior year. Properties that were on both rolls last year and this year, what rate would generate the same amount of tax levy? And then new properties, of course, are added onto that. And then you have your voter approval rate, and it is the rate that you cannot exceed without an election. It's 3.5% over the no new revenue rate, but you can roll and bank any increase that you don't take over a 3-year period. So you have not used any of that increase. So this year, our voter approval rate is at 10.5%. So I just wanted to just start here and then get into our specific discussion for tax year 2022.
So just to kind of summarize that chart is, as values went up, our rates went down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And over the time, our values went up about, 7 billion or something like that. And then our tax rate dropped about 10 cents since 2016.
Yes, you've dropped over 10 cents since 2016. So made a 20%, a little over 20% drop in the actual tax rate. And still been able to fund the budget every year. You can see the levy that was actually generated in total on the right, so that you've been able to live within those, levies and accommodate increases that are necessary each year.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Stop me if there's anything else.
Yeah.
And so then moving to see, what does our no new revenue rate look like for the 2022 tax year? And our our no new revenue rate will be 0.376355. So that's actually a 4.9% drop in the rate when comparing it to what our current rate is right now. And so, you know, I think we're able to live within our no new revenue rate very, very comfortably. And I just wanted to kind of rehash what we've covered this last month. So you've been able, if you go with the no new revenue rate at the max, you were able to accommodate a cost of living adjustment for employees. And that was based on CPI indexes and recommended by your Human Resources Department. You were able to accommodate, or of course, none of this stuff is set in stone until we adopt the budget, but we're able to accommodate the discussion of a retiree COLA, so a cost of living adjustment on our retirees. We trimmed the budget of unneeded funding throughout the budget. Operating lines, a lot of personnel lines, so that trimmed the budget down to what we think we'll actually need for the upcoming year. You've accommodated department requests that were reasonable and that add to the efficiency of their departments. You made adjustments to personnel that were human resource recommended, and added some positions that again were recommended by human resources. We've accommodated a whole new department, and that's the 474th District Court. So all that is loaded in here. So that's a whole new department that affects not just the cost of that department personnel and operating, but it affects indigent defense and you know, is widespread throughout the budget. And then also kind of whole budget wise, you accommodated increases for inflation and just other upticks in contract cost and cost of supplies that we've seen the last year, increase in utility cost. So all of those things you've been able to do, and then we're still looking at the no new revenue rate. And that yellow highlighted box there at the top is the no new revenue rate, 376,355. And again, that's a 4.9 cent drop compared to our current rate. So
Francis, if I could, I'd like to
Of course.
also add one other thing that contributed to our ability to get there, and that's taking unassigned fund balance over and above our policy to pay that forward to keep taxes in the future lower.
yes,
We brought that down. A lot of that was built up due to COVID when we had less expenses because of less activity, and unfilled positions. And of course, obviously, property values growing, those things. So
yes.
we
Thank
used
you for bringing that.
all, pretty much all of our unassigned fund balance, close to it. We're still above the 33, but that helped tremendously.
And we're still falling under that definition of a balanced budget, in that, we have balanced our expenditures by using revenues coming in as well as any fund balance that we are holding up and above our fund balance goal percentage rate. So again, we've gone through the sheets and, actually updated each salary for any changes for COLA without having these lump sum, below the line items that we've been looking at the last few weeks. So that's all loaded in there. And you'll see that with the no new revenue rate, our total revenues are $124.8 million and our expenditures are $141.7. That puts us at 38.4% of our fund balance goal. I know there's topics that, of course, we need to touch on again before we adopt in August. There's still, some topics lingering, some COLA questions with our juvenile department, still looking at vacancies that have been open longer than 2 years, getting some more information from HR on that. The zoo discussion, so whatever decision you make on that, how do you want to, if you decide to do that, how would we accommodate that cost? And so those are still to come, but
Right, and we can make changes, once today we establish whatever tax rate, the preliminary tax rate, we can't go above that going forward.
correct,
We find opportunities to lower it, we can.
definitely.
And so there's still some unanswered questions, and so we would need to make those decisions before the August 23rd meeting, right? Yeah, well,
August,
the budget is, approved budget's August 30th,
August 30th.
yeah.
Yes, so anytime before that.
Yeah,
that
okay,
date.
got you.
And if you do propose the no new revenue rate or lower, there's not the necessary rate, public hearing on the tax rate, but there will be a public hearing on the budget on that same day, on August 30th.
So the public can still weigh in.
Yes. And there's always, of course, the portion for public comment in any open
Any
meeting,
meeting,
so-
any meeting, first of
Yes.
the meeting.
Yes,
Okay. All right, thank you.
of course.
All right, this time, if there's anyone here to make, address the court, please do so at this time. And if you would come up and, for the record, you're the guy.
All right, just want to make sure I didn't cut in front of anyone.
You're the man, you're the man.
You were here early.
You took the first number.
Yeah, so, state your name and your address if you don't mind, and then go ahead and make your comments.
My name is Eric Schaefer. My address is 228 Oklahoma Avenue, Hewitt, Texas, 76643. So I wanted to come and encourage the court to lower the tax rate to adjust for increased property values. It sounds like that's what's happening. At least that's what's being suggested. So I do want to encourage that take place. I think there's opportunity to go even lower than the no increase, and I'd encourage you to do that. And I also would like to encourage y'all to have meetings like this that significantly impact the pocketbooks of the residents of McLean County at a time that is available to the working folks. I took the day off today. And not everyone can do that. Not everyone pays attention to these things, but a lot of people throw out the excuse that, well, you know, hey, who has time on a Tuesday at 9 in the morning? Well, if it's important, you make time. However, I just encourage y'all to also make some of these big type meetings available in the evening. So,
Okay.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. And on that, we'll talk about it, make that decision, but I do agree that the hearing on the budget should be at a time where people that work a normal workday can attend those meetings, which means it would need to be, after 5:30 or 5:30 or after, something like that. So
Yes.
accommodate that, and we'll post it. It'll be out there for the public edification, and plus we encourage, if you can't come, to write to your to your commissioner or to my office, either one. So
Judge, is that something that we'll consider for this August, to move that hearing to the evening?
yes, it would be. Yeah,
Fantastic.
All right.
we don't have a time down for it, do we?
No, sir.
Oh, it does say
It
9.
does say,
Well, it hadn't been posted.
hadn't been
Okay.
posted, we haven't voted on it, so we.
Yeah. So
What is the, how does that work? I know there's a series of steps that have to take place, and that's always the last one, the hearing on the budget, right?
Yes, so for the budget specifically, it is the hearing and the adoption of the budget. We publish the notice of that public hearing at least 10 days before.
Okay.
But those are the steps there. And the adoption of the tax rate, if the hearing was necessary, that happens within a week before adoption of the tax rate. And again, we publish within 10 days before.
But having it in the evening would not pose any problems with you
So that
getting
would be,
posted?
yeah,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That would be okay.
I think that'd be great.
yeah, and we've done that before. In fact, there's been times where we had, probably because the tax rate had to go up above the no new revenue rate, that we had a hearing at 9 a.m. and then on the same day, another hearing at 5:30. So, I think we definitely want to accommodate attendance. That's one thing we've worked hard on, is be transparent and open to, any suggestions or constructive criticism, those kind of things. So, but we appreciate you coming here for sure.
Appreciate you listening and considering those options.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate you being here.
Good day, sir.
Thank you for taking that time.
Okay,
I have a question about what's in the proposed general fund spreadsheet.
Yes, sir.
You said that included all of the personnel decisions and the TCDRS increase to, and where were we? What amount for TCDRS retiree COLA was programmed in?
So we have it plugged in at 5%. Was that the last consensus there? And then, of course, we can, we can.
$931,000.
So it ended up actually being less than that. So when I had the scenarios built up, they included all of those 21 positions that we ended up putting placeholders in. Those things kind of took place after, and so it did come in under. So sorry.
But what about, we talked about jail magistration and fair increase to the fairs funding.
So those two things specifically, the magistration issue, I know we're not exactly sure where that's going to go. Would it be employees, contract, what's the actual cost? Without knowing that, what we did was we included some in contingencies for that. 90,000 was the number that we kept coming back to. And so what we'll do when the decision's made, we'll move that to a line item to accommodate what the actual cost is going to be.
But it is considered when you backed into this no new revenue.
Yes, sir. And then the other item you just mentioned.
Fair.
Yes, the fairgrounds. So that's in the permanent improvement fund, and will be in the permanent improvement spreadsheet. And $1 million of the M&O rate goes over to permanent improvement. So it didn't change the revenue going in, just what was budgeted there. So it just affects the bottom line.
And then the zoo.
So zoo is not in here at this time, just because I know a decision needs to be made, so I didn't want to, we didn't want to muddy up, since nothing had been approved. But what will end up happening is that needs to come from a permanent improvement fund. So, you have your fund, what we call Fund 401, which is funded by a portion of the M&O rate. So it's a possibility there, or of course, the permanent improvement funds that are attached to our bond issuances. So there's those options there. So, if you decided to use the fund that is funded by ad valorem taxes, it's going to decrease your revenue here in the general fund and move it over there. Of course, if it's in your, if you're using bond issuance funds, it won't affect any.
Yeah, I don't think any of I know you were out there, but I don't think any of us would want to use short-term money to cover, that'd be a long-term deal.
And that's been our, we've been the debt issuer for the zoo since it was built in '93.
Right.
And so, I feel like it's only appropriate for that.
Yeah.
For it to come from our debt.
Yeah.
And if,
You mentioned you sent me a message about the 21 bond, and so I think we could talk about.
I looked at the 21 bond and there's no, are there any obligations?
Let me pull it.
There's a couple still out there. So, but
there's
we
like,
can look and see what that is,
Right,
what those obligations are,
Yeah,
and there
right.
might be some room.
The only thing that I would ask we consider in that is that we don't put off a road or a bridge project
Absolutely, I agree.
because of that.
Because we have our obligations and
Right.
we have to create debt
We-
for our purposes. And, so,
I hate to say you gotta put one debt in front of another, but
well,
if it's a road or a bridge, I think it comes before we would.
And I that's probably an item for, I guess, later discussion and debate, because I'm getting a lot of mixed reactions from.
yeah. I think,
Citizens.
we can, on next Commissioners Court meeting, whether work session or action item, we will have full discussion about that. So it gives you time to get feedback from the community and also come up with ideas and all how to approach it, so.
And Haley's pulled up, so the funds that we're sitting on from the 2021 bond, we're sitting on a little over 12 million. This does not have the elections equipment in it yet, so that would eat into that balance. But currently what we're pulling from there is our 2 property purchases that were approved this last month. The remaining amount for the tower project, there's some projects for Trading House Lake, and then ADA modifications continue to be something, of course, that we're seeing cost on. So that is what's obligated there in that fund, and so you're sitting on, after elections equipment, roughly 10 million. So that's funds that you can use for the zoo, you can use for the downtown jail project, any other road
Okay,
projects.
so there's some room in it,
Yes, but I know with that big project on the horizon,
yeah.
knowing that is spoken for in some way.
Based on what we know from other counties who have purchased either of these equipments, as you talk about does Jared have any ballpark figure on?
Yeah.
I know I guess it's a bid item, but
Yeah, he gave us that.
I'm trying to remember what yeah, it's come down, I know.
2 million, and it's because he changed, I guess, the method of the type of equipment that he
Yeah.
was looking at. I know there's different versions, so 2 million was the cost,
Could be, I knew there was a number, okay.
the
could be.
cost of the equipment
I know.
and the supplies and the training and all of the things that get rolled up together.
And some of those might be broke out too, where they might not need to be on a bond, they might be short-term, like paper and
Paper, right, ballot.
thing, but we'll look at that, but, hopefully by next week, we'll get some recommendations, after, folks look at the equipment and, different entities it involves, and we'll get feedback from them, and then that'll come back to the court, and we can nail that down. But yeah, the original price was in the $10 million range, so, and now we're supposed to have better equipment at $2 million, so
Figure that out.
figure that out.
So I guess we'll go back to the main. So then I guess if there's no other topics that, we need to get into today, like I said, I know there's things that need to be discussed the next few weeks.
Okay?
Sorry, this is what the no new revenue rate would look like. So you will need to vote on a.
You trying to encourage discussion?
So what would it look like if we rounded that down to 0.375?
Yes, sir. So it's not a substantial change from that no new revenue down to 37.5 cents. It is below the no new revenue rates. And, lowering it down like that, it doesn't affect the debt service fund, it doesn't affect what currently we're putting in permanent improvement, it just affects general fund here. Slight drop that's why it affects that ending fund balance and percentage. Do you mind scrolling down just to that number? And so that, if you're looking, of course, at the ending fund balance there, 38.1%, that is 7.2 million over your goal. You want to look at it that way as well. And, we've talked about a lot of things, but one thing we have not brought up, and it's always kind of the very, very last thing, is do you want to make any lump sum payment into TCDRS to accommodate some of the retiree COLA, or just to keep moving your rate down over the years? So,
Right. And I think that's appropriate discussion when we get, after we get through today, that when we start talking about where we might find money, or where we might, in other words, kind of a sources and uses discussion, and where we get to a point of actually getting to the final recommendation of the court. So, this gap in time, I think that somebody was wise to put that in there, that you can actually put something out there for discussion and have, not have buyers or sellers remorse. You can make an adjustment, but, you know, goes without saying, budgets aren't just 1 year. Budgets, they start from what the budget was last year and go to, and create what the budget's gonna be next year. And I guess that's been here since 1850 when it was first established. And so if we get in that, you know, in that range, if we do over budget or under budget, we're gonna deal with it next year. And so I'd rather end up being slightly over, myself, but anyhow, I'm open, we can start discussing.
I was gonna make a comment, Judge, that, I wanna commend the court because this has probably been one of the more, fine-tuned, deliberate approaches that we've had to the budget in quite some time, because we have totally changed the way we've typically done things in the past, after observing and finding out there are positions that weren't needed. So I truly, it's been quite the budget session, and I congratulate everybody that we're at a point where we can vote on a ceiling and still have discussion, taking into consideration some additional expenses that we may need to spend between now and then, but we're starting at the no new revenue rate, which is what we set out to do in the beginning.
I would second that, you know, realizing that today we're setting a ceiling and not a floor. And the fact that there's still some unknowns between now and August the 30th, I guess, pertaining to the budget. I looked at numbers, you know, the no new revenue rate this year, if my numbers are right, are almost 11, or a little bit over 11% decrease from last year's tax rate. If you go back to 2018, it's over 22% decrease from that tax rate, and the no new revenue rate listed today, if you go back to 2016, that's almost a 28% decrease. That's amazing, and that's a tribute to what this court has done in the past, certainly before I got here, and thank y'all. But also to the strength of our economy and how our growth has taken place in our county over the last few years. And with the unknowns, and knowing that we can look at a floor, I would support today, so that we could continue to discuss it. I would support the no new revenue rate today, knowing that we're still open for debate.
Is that a motion?
I could make it a motion, yes, sir. I'll do that.
And a comment before, when you have the wording for.
Yeah,
It needs to be a record vote.
yeah, that's right. So the motion would need to,
Include that statement?
yes, sir. It includes every one of those factors. And then if we get a second, then we can discuss.
Okay. All right, I propose a tax rate of .376355 for the 22-23 tax year. This rate would be comprised of .028335 for interest and sinking and .34802 for maintenance and operations. The .34802 for maintenance and operations is further broken down into .00435 for the permanent improvement fund and .34367 for the general fund.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I would like to
Open
make a
for
comment.
discussion.
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
So I commend the court also too. I think this is the best job that we've done budgeting, and this is 10th, this is our 10th or 9th or 10th budget.
Yeah.
10th?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so my 10th budget, and I think it's closer to what it, how I think we ought to continue this, this policy of you know, I guess it's zero budgeting as much as possible, so.
Thank you, Rick.
I would like to say something.
Sure.
Again, I also commend the court. I think this has been one of the greatest learning experiences for me. Out of all of the budget sessions that I participated in, I want to compliment Frances and her team for the information, and Anna for this being such an information-based budget. What I want to compliment, in addition, the court on is that we saw increases to the indigent health program because it was necessary. We were able to give the support we needed to Waco Family Medicine. We were able to take care of our employees who are having to deal or grapple with the cost of inflation, active and retirees. And we still have room for a considerable conversation on the zoo expansion. And I think to do all of that and be able to adopt the no new revenue rate speaks to the financial solvency of the county. And so I think it speaks to the work of this court.
Thank you. I agree with everything it said. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you, Francis, and all those that participated.
And I know y'all don't, you know, when we get here, there's been a lot of work done by the departments to get these budget requests to us, and then Heather and Haley work with them, you know, for months to get those, you know, what they want them to be. But we got a lot of buy-in this year from departments working to make sure that, you know, what they asked for was exactly what they needed, that it was reasonable, that they had backup. And then, you know, when we saw areas that we thought they should trim, everyone was very agreeable to that and understood the need to do that. So, like you said, that's something that we'll focus on going forward in future years.
Okay.
Just keep revisiting where we can trim.
Okay, anything else? If not, I'll call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Miller?
Aye.
Judge Felton?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
Pass. Thank you. All right, you might restate the calendar items.
Yes, that was gonna be my next topic. So, elected official letters will go out this afternoon from the judge's office. And so that starts the grievance hearing process. It just really depends if there is a grievance or not. If there is, let's see, and it got to where there was an actual grievance hearing, on Tuesday the 9th, there would need to be a commissioners court meeting agenda. And we've had that on the calendar. We'll be prepared for that. The deadline to grieve is Tuesday the 2nd. And so we'll know more then, but those are on the calendar as what ifs. But through August, you have regular agendas, the 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th. Since there's a third meeting that would usually happen anyway. And so just based on what you were saying earlier, I know we're gonna have a meeting on the 30th anyway. And so I would think that we will have a budget item on each of those agendas. So we can continue to discuss budget those 3 Tuesdays. You know, we can roll that forward into Wednesday. We can meet on Thursdays or whatever day, if we need a lot more further discussion. But we'll continue to have those 3 Tuesdays. And then that final Tuesday, the 30th, we need the public hearing on the budget and then vote on the budget and the tax rate. And so if you want to do that in the evening, just let me know what time you think would be best, and we'll include that in the publication.
Well, since we're all here, I would recommend 5:30
Okay.
on the 30th, right?
Which one of those meetings, the morning meeting, that would be just a public hearing, and then the evening would be actually when we would vote?
You have to, the way the law reads, it says you are to vote on the budget immediately following the hearing. So I think to abide by that, we need to have the budget hearing in the evening as well, and I think what the thought is, so that
Right.
it does allow people to come in. But on that morning meeting, that's a regular agenda, there'll be the space for
hearing
public comment.
Or public comment? But
Yes.
no vote that morning?
No, so the formal budget hearing will be at 5:30 PM, followed by the votes.
Okay. Here at the courthouse?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so then just 5:30.
unless, you know, that's something that, you know, if y'all wanted to do different, but yes, usually we just have it.
I mean, is there, we have a consensus that that's a good time, a good plan?
Public hearing and then the vote on the budget at 5:30 on the 30th.
Right.
Yes, yes. In that order, hearing on budget, then you vote on the budget, and then you vote on the tax rate after. So those 3 steps at 5:30.
So and that'll be posted then? That's a posted
Yes, sir.
meeting, and there'll be action items?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I will be publishing the notice of that hearing on the budget on Friday, August 12th. So it'll appear in the Waco Tribune.
Referencing the grievance hearings that could or could not take place, do we have enough people now? You know, we were still.
On the
drawing.
grievance,
We were
we're still short, and there's,
She's subbing in today. She's, we caught her off guard.
well, Dustin's right on top of it, so Dustin, you might.
Yes, sir.
If you would, Dustin, answer that question, whether we have enough, and then the other is what other option we may have to choose if we don't.
Okay, so it takes 9 members to be to have a salary grievance committee. I believe that the last update, we only have 7. There is an alternate in the statute where it is 6 elected officials that are laid out in the statute. And it can be any number of those 6 plus members of the public to equal 9. And so next Tuesday on the agenda, we're going to have an item that allows us to select that alternate. It's actually the one prescribed by law unless the court chooses to go to the 9 public members. We'll have an item on allowing us to use the one comprised of elected officials and members of the public. If we receive a grievance request by 5 o'clock that afternoon, we're going to recess court on Tuesday. If we receive a request, we will then reconvene on Wednesday and establish that committee. If we don't receive a request by 5 o'clock on Tuesday, we will still reconvene on Wednesday morning, but then just adjourn because we will not need to form the committee. And then going forward, we think we need to, it's harder and harder each year to form this committee. So we think we need to go with the one prescribed by statute, just the standard one made up of elected officials and members of the community. So that will be our plan going forward.
All right.
I hope that made sense. Sorry, it's a little complicated.
Okay. Okay. All right, anything else to come before the court? All right, then we stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.